Jerry. Oh, are we recording?
We're finally on. Hi, everybody. Jo's exhausted.
We're together!
Yay! She's exhausted because she had to put up with my kids the whole weekend.
They were awesome. Okay, so we are going to do this lesson fairly quickly because this is going to be a lot of oh,
It's
shaking. Okay, it's going to be a lot of work that you do on your own. Some of you are going to say, I already know what this is, I don't need to do it again, but I want to tell you, I do this program several times a year because it reminds you, and you know, the perfect memory doesn't exist unless you're an elephant. Okay, so, oh, you know what? I'm not going to be able to have any fun with her sitting here because she's going to like slap me and say, stop it. But we're going to talk about DISC, D-I-S-C. And a lot of y'all have done Myers-Briggs and you've done DISC, you've done different personality assessments. You don't have to get in super, super deep here. You really can do it just by knowing the basics, D-I-S-C. So before I even get into the lesson, I want to tell you, DISC, just remember it like this. It would be like if you had 4 people, let's say 4 women, in a car driving to seminar. Okay, so who is behind the wheel of the car? The driver, right? So they're the one that they're in charge, they're leading the way, they may not necessarily know which way to go, but they are determined and they are holding the wheel, okay? That's your D. Your D is your driver. Your personality sitting next to you would be your I. An I personality, I like to think of it as like the cheerleader. Your I personality would want to sit up front. Why? Because they have control of the radio. And the radio controls the emotions, and they're like, yay! So think of it like that. The driver, you know, a little bit more serious. The cheerleader, the driver wants to go fat like that sometimes, but they don't. Okay, S and C. S and C are very easy to confuse, but the best way to remember it is S is part of a team. S is like a family. Just think of the curviness of the family. And C, I hate to use this word because it comes across negative, but C is more of a control personality, okay? But not like OCD control, just control, okay? So an S loves to be part of a team. They love to be a part of something big. They don't care if they're carrying the water or throwing the main football. They just want to be part of a team. So the S is like the team. It's the family person. It's the kind of personality that will talk about their family a lot, or they'll talk about what team sports they played. The C personality is a detail person. That's why they have control, because they know every rule. They know every fact. They know every detail. I think of Christine. Christine can tell you everyone who's ever won any award and what dress they wore that year, right? Very detail oriented. So not everybody is just a D, just an I, just an S, just a C, but you have different parts of your personality that are stronger than others. When I first started Mary Kay, I was a high I. When I went through my divorce and became a single parent, my D went way up and my C went way up, because I had to really learn to read all the details and know all the information. My S has always been strong because I've always been on a sport. I've always been like in a choir or a drama group. So I've always had that kind of, that S personality. So you might say, well, maybe I'm not real good with a team. Well, that's probably because as a child, you didn't have a lot of siblings, or you didn't have a lot of people around you that you worked together. So this is going to be a little change in your personality. You might say, you know, I'm used to working by myself. I'm used to setting my own goals, and that's fine. But what happens is you kind of run off on your own, and every once in a while you go, well, wait a minute, they're doing so much better. Why? Because they're part of the team. And it's not a conformity thing, but it's a team thing. And I'm just thinking of somebody right now off the top of my head that's a D, I, a C, got to work on that S. Your director can tell you immediately what you might want to kind of work on, what you might want to lift up. But we also want to make great use of the parts of our personality that are strong. I know that when I first met Andrea, she had a very high D, and her I was kind of there. Her S, she was more of a watch me go, watch me go. So being a team sport player when she was younger, she already had that S in her, but we kind of worked on that, on being part of a group and working towards a group thing. And then the C, you got to be able to read the details, guys. When you say, oh, my brain doesn't catch up with me till tomorrow, or oh, I'm always late, that'll work until you're about 21, 22, and then people aren't going to buy that anymore. You know, if you know that about yourself, then that might be something you really want to work on. Don't you agree, Andrea?
Yeah, or find somebody who can help you.
Yeah. Okay, so words and communicating. Words are very, very important. Words you say to yourself, words you say that you say to other people. One of the things that I would love to see us all work on is recognizing the good in others. We are so quick to go, oh, look how she did that wrong, or look how he did that wrong. Let's start recognizing the good in other people. So today, Andrea and I had one of her new unit members come over. She was really good at just pointing out the good in everybody and the good in her life and the good in everything that's going on. And when you hear her backstory, she doesn't come from a bed of roses. She comes from a real world, but she's focusing a lot on the good. And a lot of times we say, oh, and Mary Kay, you drink the pink lemonade, you drink the pink Kool-Aid, you drink the pink lemonade, everything's a bed of roses. And it's really not. Like, we know real life happens, but if we can put ourselves in that pink bubble, if we can surround ourselves with positivity, we can surround ourselves with people who will be honest with us and truthful with us and be transparent with us in a loving, supportive, uplifting way, then we are ready to receive that. So I think words are very, very important.
Can I add on that?
Yeah.
When I signed up and Joanna was trying to pour belief into me, I had a hard time believing that I would ever earn a car. In fact, I went to look for a car on a weekend, and Jo said, what are you doing? You're going to earn a car. And I just didn't believe that I ever would. And I decided I would choose to believe in her belief. But here's what I found. It became like this magic pill that when I really found the good in everyone, I wasn't out there trying to sign up people. I wasn't trying to sell anything. I was trying to find the good and bring out the good with my positive words. My life became, it's hard to describe, but it was like magical, because all around me, I started to see people light up. But within me, I started to believe that I was carrying the light and that I had a bigger calling. Yeah. And it was in that moment that I started to say, I could be a director. I am a director. I am a car driver. So practice this. This is one of the best things that Mary Kay taught us, and that we need to keep it going for our culture.
You know, in being in Andrea's house since Thursday night, I've read all her walls and all her stuff and everything. And Mara actually said, Aunt Jo, what are you doing? Yeah, she thought I was just staring at a wall. I said, I'm reading all the stuff. And one of the things that I glanced at, is either be the light or be the mirror that reflects the light. And sometimes I think we have to be the light. We have to be the light that walks in. But if we're the light enough, if we send out enough light, then that light is going to reflect back on us from other people that we're sending it to. So kind of keep that in mind too, that sometimes you're the light, sometimes you're the reflection, and know when to play those different roles. Okay, real quick, I said we're going to keep this short, so let's work on that. DISC. D, when you go to education, consultant education, go to Race for Red, okay? You are going to click on week 2. This is week 2. Okay, there's a video there. National Sales Director Kim McClure talks about words, the power of words, the empowerment that you can give others through words. And then the first lesson is, what is your personality type? D, I, S, and C. So real quick, Andrea, you want to read through those real quick?
The question?
Just the description.
Okay. We have a D for dominant. You're motivated by a challenge. You are stressed by losing control. D comes across as strong-willed, and you're limited by skepticism and impatience. If you are an I, influential. I is motivated by recognition. They're sort of like the cheerleaders. They can be a little bubbly. Stressed by too many details. Comes across as enthusiastic, limited by impulsivity, lack of follow-through. S is your steady, safe. I always say school teachers. Stability is what you're motivated by. Stressed by change. Comes across as peacekeeping, limited by resistance to change. And C would be your compliant. Somebody who is motivated by order, stressed by disorganization, comes across as detail-oriented, and is limited by difficulty seeing the big picture.
Okay, so I think that makes sense, and you'll be able to figure out what you are, and you're going to read through this and kind of take this quiz and figure out if you're a DISC. And it'd be interesting to have you share that with your director and say, you know, this is what I came across as, and then she can give you some skills and, you know, some different strategies to make sure that you stay a little bit more balanced. Now, why is it important to know the personality type? Why is it important for us to be able to communicate with others knowing what their personality type is?
Question for me?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then you'll be able to really meet them where they're at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's not going to be so much about your needs and what you're going for. It's going to be about them. Even so far as to mirroring, imitating how they sit, how they stand. Do they lean in? Do they lean back? Are they more laid back like Andrea's right now? Are their arms crossed? I imitate whatever they're doing as far as their body language. The tilt of the head usually means, you know, that they're listening and nodding. And so I nod and I smile a lot when I'm talking because subconsciously that brings you into agreement. Okay. All right.
So but just don't pair it, like make sure she's so skilled at this. Don't be like so obvious that you're mirroring them that it's awkward. Be very smooth.
Yeah.
Like, oh, what? Okay.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. You want to be smooth about it. Okay. The second part is the DISC role play guide. Unfortunately, you're going to have to find someone to do this with you. Okay. So that's the second part. We could do this all day long and you could go, well, that was great. But until you do it yourself, it's not going to make any sense. So you're going to talk about the big picture of Mary Kay. You're going to talk about the fun, prizes, and recognition. You're going to talk about the stability of the company. You're going to talk about the details of having a Mary Kay business. If you notice, when we put together things like the Perfect Star program, when we put together videos, when we put together challenges, when Mary Kay puts things together, you will see that it always hits all 4 personality types. There will always be something where someone can get a big win. There will always be something where you get recognized. There will always be something that has some detail to it for those who need to read all the rules. And there will always be something that brings everybody together as a team. Okay, and that's why, because we want everyone to feel comfortable and welcome and really like they're a part of this and not, well, they're so different from me. They can't understand me. Yes, we can, because we all have some of that in us. We just have to know when to raise and lower it. One of my concerns as far as when you do think you can really, really discern what someone's personality type is, that you change everything for them. Okay, like if Andrea is an I personality, all I do is talk about seminar and the prizes and the diamonds and you're going to be on stage and what your gown's going to look like. Okay, but I forget to tell her what she has to do the quota sharing, what she has to do the quota sales, what she needs to choose to do as far as her booking and her patterns of activity. So don't overdo it. Like Andrea said with the mirroring someone, don't overdo it. You want to always make sure that you do appeal to that type of their personality and that part of their personality, but also that you're showing them that, you know, there are other things too. We need to talk about how you need to take charge and maybe discipline your kids to really make sure that they're on task and that they're helpful in the home. Yesterday I had a conversation with Andrea's neighbor, and Luke was sitting there. He's 10 years old, very active little boy, bing, bing, bing everywhere. He stood there. I was amazed for a good 15, 20 minutes, stood while I had a conversation with these grown-ups. He didn't jump in. He didn't interrupt. He didn't start playing with stuff. He didn't start fidgeting. And when we finished the conversation and walked away, I acknowledged that. And I said, you know, Luke, I realize that you're only 10 and you probably don't understand what a big, big deal this is. But the fact that you stood there and just stayed invisible while I had that conversation with your neighbor, that's huge. And he was like, really? And I said, you have no idea. Grown-ups don't even know how to do that. I said, that was huge. So, you know, some of this is very instinctive. And you may say, this just isn't that hard, because it's very instinctive to know when to step up and when to back down. It's just we don't always follow those instincts. And yes, you've done an amazing job with your children, just amazing. And I have to brag on her again. I just had, when she had one of her team members over, and Mara popped outside, because we love it outside here, it's beautiful, to say goodbye to Andrea and I real quick so she could go run her errands. She stopped, she was introduced to the woman, she said hello, it's very nice to meet you. She wasn't like, okay, I gotta go. She was like telling us what she was gonna do. She had a conversation, just very good people skills. If you guys don't think raising your family in a Mary Kay atmosphere isn't like the biggest blessing of all, you really need to visit someone with Mary Kay kids. Because they know how to answer the phone, they know how to answer the door, they know how to shake hands, they know how to say hello, they know when to talk, when not to talk. It really is, it's invaluable. It's invaluable.
Well, Kevin used to deliver, and I know that Jules did too, but Jules was a little smaller, but deliver the products at the door while Joe was in the car, and he would say, thank you so very much for ordering from my mom. You've really blessed my family.
I mean, thank you for supporting my mother's business. Doesn't that sound a lot cuter coming from an 8-year-old than it does from the consultant? Teach your kids, because they are part of this business. They are part of your goals. And for a lot of you guys, they're the reason why you're doing this. And the more involved they get, the more they're going to support you. People will support what they help create. Okay, the 4P questions. And this is part 3. Okay, the 4 Ps. So this is more teaching you a little bit more about communication. So you've got the DISC. You kind of know, is this person going to talk more about, well, you know what, ask me, just ask me to tell you a little bit about myself.
Oh, well, tell me about yourself.
Well, I'm the vice president of a bank. I went to Harvard. I have 2 masters. Okay, what personality am I? D. Okay.
Now, that doesn't mean I put her in a box, but that is going to guide some of my questions more towards the D personality. And that's why this is so important. It'll guide the closing of a party, a closing of the sale of the products, a closing of our career opportunity.
You would never ask a D personality, well, do you need to talk to your husband before you buy the set? No. Okay? No. But, I mean, now that was a high D. I might say, well, I loved my years at college. I loved the fact that I was a straight A student, had to work really hard, but I was a straight A student. So they are more about their accomplishments. They might even talk about what their goals are. My goal is to be, you know, at this level in my education or this level at my job by a certain age. I've looked at the Mary Kay business plan, and I see myself as a car winner. I see myself as a director. That's more dominant. That's more goal-oriented achiever. Okay? All right. So the next question is, what brings you joy? So now I'm going to be a different personality.
Okay. So what brings you joy?
Oh, I love my family. I love my kids. I just wish I could have more time with them. I love going on family vacations. I love and I love the people at work. I love how we pull together as a team. We set goals and we just really work together.
So people are really important, as well as your family, all the members of your family.
So what personality style is that? That's an S. That's an S. They talk about their family. They talk about their friends. They talk about their circle of influence. They might talk about their church. What brings you joy? Spending time with my family. Now, a D is also going to say, I love my kids. An I is going to say, I love my kids. A C is going to say, I love my kids. What's the first few things that come out of their mouth? Okay? All right. Okay. You can be an I. Tell me about a time when you were proud of yourself, and what was it about the experience that you loved the most?
Oh my gosh. So when I was 5, so I was asked to be the head, it's not Brownie, it was called Daisy's.
and we got an award, and I got to go on the stage. Oh, it was so much fun, because then I got to call my best friend to come with me, and she brought her little puppy dog. And so when we were up on that little stage, I got this patch, and I remember my brother wanting to eat the patch because he was younger than me, and he came and he got it, and he was sticking it in his mouth, but it was my patch. So I just remember it was just such a special moment for me, being up on that stage and earning that patch. But it was crazy.
Recognition, okay? Recognition, achievement, motivated. She is a I, okay? And they talk a lot. They talk a lot. Now, with someone who's very talkative, when you can turn that skill or help them choose to turn that skill into getting other people to talk about themselves, that will still satisfy that I in their personality, but it puts the focus, it shines that light back on that other person. A lot of people thought for a long time that I was all I. For years and years, I'm all I, because I was on stage and I wore the gowns and I had the glitz and stuff. In my mind, when you walk on a Mary Kay stage, you wear an evening gown. That's really being more of a rule follower. If Mary Kay says, this is the contest, this is what you have to do to achieve it, achieve it. I do that because the rule follower. I grew up with very strict parents, and the way we knew love was you did a good job on that, you made an A, or you followed the rules, or the kitchen is clean. So some of this is from your childhood. So the way I recognize love is, and the way I see love and feel love is acknowledgement of I made an A. And to me, quota sharing is making an A. Quota sales is making an A. Unit club is making an A. Being a director is making an A. Being a Cadillac is making an A. That's in my mind. It doesn't have to be in Andrea's mind or someone else's mind. That's in my mind. And I know that about myself because I've spent so much time in this business and now I recognize it. And so that's another thing about recognizing DISC is you can do so much self-correction. So when people say, oh, you're a high I, you love to be on stage. My first thing I want to say is, well, actually, I loathe the stage. I hate being the center of attention. The most punishment you can ever put me through is pull me up on stage and talk about me nice in front of other people. I would much rather just get a card in the mail. But, you know, I recognize that about myself. And so I stand there and I smile and I nod and I accept it because that might be their love language, is giving you that recognition. So there's a lot of nuances here, but once you recognize it, you guys, your emotional maturity will be over the top, completely over the top. Okay, so the last personality left is your C, and we're gonna take the fourth question. Let's dream for a minute. If money and time were not an issue, what dream would you like to be living a year from now? In other words, what are your possibilities? So what would some things a C would say?
A C might say, oh gosh, I got to embody Christine. I would like to be able to I will take my family to Disneyland on December 28th, right after the
Hear the
rush.
detail? Hear the
and
detail?
Then we're going to wake up in the morning and I'm going to surprise them with
detail.
A wonderful breakfast with the princesses. And that's
detail.
So that could be an example.
Okay, you hear the details? Okay, so you might say, well, what if they talk about their family and they use a lot of details and then they get excited and then they say they like to take control? Well, then they got a good balance. I mean, it's the first few things that come out of their mouth. First few things that come out of their mouth. So the 4 Ps, I thought originally the 4 Ps were something you would discuss with someone that you're just meeting, someone you didn't know very well. But this is the deal. I can do the 4 Ps with Andrea right now, and it would be different than the way she spoke 10 years ago or 20 years ago when I met her. So it's okay to use the 4 Ps when you're sharing the career opportunity with someone who you already know really well. Let's say I'm sharing the career opportunity with my daughter. She may answer these questions completely differently than I would think because I think I know her a certain way, because I see her a certain way. I've got her in a certain box and she's as my daughter. But when I go see her at her school, or I see her at her gym, or I see her with her boyfriend, or I see her with her puppy dog, or in social life, or at church, she acts differently, or I need to see her differently because she is different. So tell me a little bit about yourself. the first thing she may talk about is, oh my gosh, I've got this cute dog. Where I would say, no, she's going to talk about her accomplishments. So you never know. So listen. It is so important that you listen, because especially if you already know them, you already have them in this little box, and you need to open your mind to the possibilities of what they can do in the business, as well as them opening their mind to you, opening your mind about them. And that's why so many times we say in Mary Kay, you can start with your family and friends, but move past them as quickly as possible, because they see you as a certain way. And you want them to see you as that Mary Kay beauty consultant, that professional consultant, that professional business owner. Okay? And that moves us to the fourth part of our segment, and that's your I story. I truly believe that when you write your I story, if you will use this guideline, it will keep it short, it will keep it to the point. But I'm going to have Andrea share you a story about a young man who came to sell them knives and what she directed him to do, because this is so applicable in our Mary Kay businesses, and telling your I story and getting to the point, but sharing what is your why. So tell them what happened.
Sure. Carter is a graduate with my son, and he called me a couple weeks into the summer, and he said, Ms. Zajac, may I practice my first presentation? I now am with Cutco Knives, and I'm learning how to present what they do. And I said, sure. I love this kid. Come on over, and you can practice on me. He said, you'll be my first presentation. And I said, absolutely. So we scheduled the time. He came in. Now, here's what I did notice up front. He was dressed professionally. He had his tie, his white shirt, his black, dark navy blue shorts, pants, and then his cute new shoes that I got a gift for my son. And he came in with his binder, and he sat down, and he was no longer the lacrosse and wrestling kid that I knew. He was Carter, the professional. And he opened up his book, and he followed his guideline. And in the guideline, it told a lot about the company, and we were learning about that. And then he gets into the knives, and he's talking, and I interrupted him, and I said, Carter, tell me, why are you doing this? Does it just make money? I just wanted to know. And he said, well, actually, Miss Zajac, let me tell you why I'm doing this. I decided to take this opportunity because when I go to school, I'm studying biomechanical engineering. That's the title. And he's really interested in making prosthetics for individuals who have lost limbs. And he said, one day I'm going to have a company where I'm going to have something that's going to serve people and help them. And I knew that if I understood what my sales force was going to have to be sharing and teaching, then I'm getting chicken skin right now.
That's amazing.
His why was so that he could one day be a better boss for what he's creating to save the world's problem with prosthesis. I said, okay, I'm buying. Like, I didn't even care anymore about the products. I knew I was in.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So what he's doing is he's trying to learn through experience what his sales force would go through, and explaining that to Andrea. Now she's a part of his goals. She's a part of his dream. She's a part of his why, and she wants to purchase and support him. So here's the guideline on your I story. Before I started my Mary Kay business, well, here, I'll just do it. Before I started my Mary Kay business, I was a school teacher and a football coach. I was a military mom, and we moved a lot. I started my Mary Kay business because I really wanted to make extra money. I wanted to pay off some credit cards. And then as a result of starting my Mary Kay business, as a result of starting my business as a Mary Kay independent beauty consultant, I just say as a result of starting my Mary Kay business, I was able to get out of a very destructive relationship. I was able to raise my kids as a single parent, and then open myself to the possibilities of being completely debt-free. So that was amazing. And as I build my Mary Kay business, I'm looking forward to helping women see the effects this business can have on their life. And it's not just a lipstick. It's about empowering women, letting them live their dream, and letting them achieve their goals. So with that being said, let's get started. All right.
Now, I got to tell you something. She hit on a couple of the DISC feel points in her presentation. She may not even have realized it. But the other thing is, what would you say if somebody doesn't have a success story yet with their Mary Kay money? Oh. And they might even be needing money, and that sounds a little bit desperate. Okay. Like, what do you think?
It does. Okay. So before I started my Mary Kay business, Well, if you are currently working a job or you currently have a career, I wouldn't say before I started. I would say, along with my current career of being a nurse or being a personal trainer or being a nutritionist or a dietitian, I am also, doing my Mary Kay business because I'd like to, and then you say your why, bring in extra income, have a career opportunity with no glass ceiling like I do at work. Is that about what you want me to do? Okay.
Yeah. And
Okay.
like I had a job when I started, so I didn't really need the money, but I was wanting money. But for me, inside my heart, I didn't feel pure saying that. So I really looked at, I love to help women feel beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're feeling icky and you try to push into that, it's going to come across to everybody. So find out what, yes, we need the money, but find what it is that really sung to you and go in that direction.
Right.
Because money will follow.
Right. Well, and I know even with my daughter who just recently joined us, she said, I go, why do you want to do this now? You are so busy with school, with the gym and all this. And she goes, because I'm tired of living paycheck to paycheck. And I think I can do this 2 or 3 days a month. And I go, okay, to me, that's realistic. So a good example would be, as I'm building my career as a school administrator, I'm working my Mary Kay business on the side to allow myself more choices. Now that works instead of money.
Yeah.
Better choices, more choices. I started my Mary Kay business because it just looks like fun. It just looks like fun. It's makeup. It's a Barbie doll world. There's enough negativity out there, and this is so positive. As a result of starting my Mary Kay business, I've been able to invite all of you here today and get to know you better, and maybe I can help change your skin and your life too. Who knows? We never know. As I build my Mary Kay business, I'm looking forward to meeting new people and having a larger sphere of influence. You can be very generic. You do not have to be detail, okay? But it really needs to be super short. If people want to know more about why you're doing Mary Kay, why you're building your Mary Kay business, I hate saying doing Mary Kay, why you're building a Mary Kay business, then that's something you would have in your one-on-one conversation when you're actually, talking to them, just the two of you. So when you're doing your parties and all, you want to make it really quick and to the point. Okay?
Because this isn't the marketing spot. The iStory is the opening. There's an opportunity for the marketing in the presentation. So.
Yeah, and you can always have them ask you questions. Because when you have people ask you questions, say, at this point, Andrea, do you have any questions for me? You will find out what they need to know, what they want to know, and what their doubts are. So let's say if Andrea said, well, Joanna, what else would you need to know? I'm giving you some information. What else do you need to know? I might say, well, I really love how you are striving to be debt-free with your family and go on family vacations. I think that would be something I would really love to work towards. Well, she just hit something in my heart. Mm-hmm. I might say, well, I don't wear any makeup. And I'm said, I'm at the gym all day, and how do you do all this? How do you learn it all? And I'd say, those are how-to questions. And if we teach you how to do that, is this something you'd like to consider? Either now or sometime in the near future. And if they ever say yes, sometime in the near future, I always say, well, what would it take to bring the near future into now? What would it take to make a decision today? Then you're going to hear their fears and their objections. And, I don't try to argue with people when they give me fears and objections. It may sound silly to you. You may be like, oh my gosh, I felt the same way. Don't go into all that. Just say, you know what? I appreciate your honesty. And I can see why you might feel that way. And, that's a foreign thing to me because I'm not really a shy person. But shyness, I know, is something that you probably, if you struggle with it. Is that something you'd like to learn how to overcome?
You're really good at that. I think there's one point I think would be beneficial for everybody, because I remember calling you and I had a conversation with a person that said, you know what? I've tried the Mary Kay product. I only like this one thing from you. And I'm not interested in trying that repair. And I know you keep giving me samples, Andrea. So I was a little shocked. I didn't know what to say in that moment. And I remember calling you, and you were so great, because what you said to me was not something I was prepared for. Do you remember this conversation?
I think I said agree with her.
So you said agree with her. And then why don't you tell them, you also said maybe she could teach
like teach me, call me back with more research. Remember that?
Oh, because of the product line she was using. Yeah. And just to say, that is great. I'm so glad you're loyal to what you're currently using. I would love for you to do some comparison and let's figure out, how I can transfer my product to people as super sharp and as loyal to a product as you, and maybe, try to educate them on how Mary Kay is better, or if it's not, talk to my company about, where we need to really work on things. I love it when someone says, well, I use this and I love it and it's the best and all that. And I'll say, really? Well, let's figure out why you love it, because I would love to take that information back to my company. I am sure our research and development department, they listen to us. And I'm sure that they would say, if those ingredients make that big of a difference, that someone is that loyal to them, we need to look at that. And we love that opinion and that education from other people. And it just knocks down those walls. Yeah. It breaks down those walls. I just agree with them. Whatever they say, I just agree. And guys, we are not in the debate business. And sometimes if you come across as, oh, no, wait, no, ours is better. This is what I always say. I always say, well, whether you're using, here, I'll use my earring that fell out. Whether you're using this mascara or something inferior, let me show you a little trick. Okay, whether you're using this cleanser or something inferior, let me show you something really cool. So basically what I'm doing is I'm insulting their product, but I'm making it kind of a joke. And they always laugh. They go, I use something inferior. And that's kind of fun. You just make it fun.
I've always said, if you want to be on the #1 best-selling team, you can definitely let me service you. But if you want to be on the losing team, that's fine too.
All right, so we have enjoyed being with you today. It's just so fun to visit.
This is the best part. So thank you
the girlfriend time.
For my kids.
The girlfriend time, and I got to adopt our kids all weekend and be impressed by them, and they're just amazing, just amazing. So the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
Thank you. Well, I learned from your example.
And it's a reflection.
Jules and Kevin are amazing examples. So you guys are going to love getting to know Jules.
Yes.
And we love Kevin, but he's not a part of it. Stephanie, we love
Stephanie. Kevin recruited his wife when she was still just his girlfriend. So my kids do believe in this business, and they believe in the freedom that Mary Kay can buy and the choices that Mary Kay can buy. And, if you're not all sold out, if you're not completely all in, just really think about the effects of your energy and your positivity and how you can use this product to truly, truly change lives, because we have changed lives. My life has been changed. Andrea's life has been changed. Yeah. I can't imagine my life without this company.
Well, and I went to the Global Leadership Summit, which is put on by the top leaders in the spiritual world and then in the innovative world. And what were they teaching? Principles that Mary Kay taught 50 years ago when she opened her business. And I mean, my friend and I said, this is Mary Kay. They're just getting it. We are so blessed to have learned from the most brilliant woman ever.
And the ultimate feminist who said, you know what? Women have power and women deserve more. And in this time of, the Me Too generation and women being empowered and women being recognized in all aspects of the world, this is our time. And let's do it. Let's run with it. We come from a company that was created by a woman, started by a woman who took God as her partner, and it's all about empowering women. And yes, we have men, but it's usually men who just adore and love women. And it's all about, the strength that we get from being together, because we are stronger together. All right, you guys, have an amazing week, and talk to me Tuesday. It's tomorrow night, 8 o'clock Eastern time. I'll be back in Arizona. I know, I'll be so sad. So we're going to go spend the day together. Bye, y'all.
Bye. No, stop recording.
Oh, wait, I have to stop the recording. Bye.